What we truly believe will be the future is indeed everything related to maximum autonomy and maximum automation. That's where the challenge lies. I had to detox from being a researcher, as a university researcher. Everything goes, everything is motivating. In the industrial world, puts you in your place, the client puts you in your place and solve Libellio's bigger problem. To give a very concrete example, indeed, in these low emission zones, GPT or generative AI is just a baby. There are so many advances in what is indeed being done that we need to start being able to truly defend that capacity for defense. There is much more focus on creation than on protection.
You will discuss artificial intelligence and climate change. Hello, I'm David Fernandez. This podcast is produced by Street Agency of Ideas. If you are thinking about creating a podcast, an online campaign, or any other digital content, don't hesitate to contact us at Geopolitical ES, and you can also find us on our social media. And now, I leave you with this week's podcast. How has the entry of artificial intelligence technology been in your life in any way? Because you come from working on everything related to IoT through your own company. How did artificial intelligence enter Antonio's life in a significantly impactful way and profoundly impact it?
Well, the integration of artificial intelligence comes from the fact that, in the end, Libellio is a company that focuses on capturing data, and like everywhere else, the first step has been that data collection. There came a moment of crisis in the company when we realized that we had a large amount of data, that we were helping many clients, both industrial and public, to collect data, but they were not fully extracting all the value that we could get from it. Libellio initially thought that others should have done it, but since we saw that it wasn't being fully exploited, we decided to take a step forward, not only doing it with our partners, but also providing the first advanced data exploitation services ourselves. So it clearly comes from a clear need that if data is being collected and the mechanism for data collection is in place, if you don't provide a mechanism for exploitation and analysis, it becomes absolutely meaningless. So this need arises, and it also comes in response to the demand and positioning of Iberium, which wants not only to sell hardware, but also to start offering more software solutions. And that has led us to significantly evolve over the last 4 years, pivoting from not only selling hardware, but also extending it with software and more. And obviously, when we talk about software, we start with the management platform, but in the end, where the value ultimately lies, where people, the clients, see the value is in artificial intelligence. That's where we manage to extract that insight, that knowledge, that response to the challenges and problems they have with artificial intelligence, and ultimately, artificial intelligence.
What is the core business of Liberians?
The core business delivery right now is mainly about creating solutions that address environmental problems currently. Our business, we create solutions which include two parts, one part software, one part hardware. The hardware part is our legacy, so we have been manufacturing IoT devices for 18 years. We are the first global IoT manufacturer, one of the pioneers in the world of Arduino open hardware with 18 years of history. This has led to a great legacy of robust industrial solutions. The way we provide solutions has been by integrating this hardware with software products, including artificial intelligence models, visualization models, and reporting, which are the ones truly addressing the challenges our clients face.
Are you talking about IoT devices? Tell me about your story. Where does Antonio Jara come from?
Well, Antonio Jara, who indeed hails from the University of Murcia, in his second year of academic coursework, begins working at the University of Murcia within the Information Systems Department, focusing mainly on how to effectively connect various devices to the internet. At that time, the whole topic of connecting devices with IPv and the internet was at the R&D level. We are talking about the year 2015. It was the most relevant thing. And of course, almost 20 years have passed since then. The evolution was to do a PhD, work at the university at 25 years old, having already completed a PhD in computer science, a first master's in artificial intelligence and IoT specialization, a master's in business development management, and it was the moment to say it's time to break away from just working in R&D and start solving challenges and problems in the real world. And at that moment, IoT continued to be my main guiding thread because it was what I had been specializing in since my second year of college. I took the path of starting a company immediately and directly in order to get the product to market while continuing to work in R&D at a research lab in Switzerland. Then I had a transitional period of about 6 years, from 2013 to 2019, between working in Switzerland after finishing my PhD in 2013, starting the company, building all that background, and from there, in 2019, I left Switzerland, COVID hit, and we were very fortunate to enter programs that helped us really better understand how to make Hopu grow, which was the company I established, and how to solve real problems more clearly and effectively. And from starting to manufacture the first product and testing various different versions of IoT products from 13 to various editions, it was really in 17 when we finally came to the conclusion that air quality was indeed the main product, and in 19 when we started to realize that it had to be with artificial intelligence and advanced solutions. And that was the moment, obviously, in the year 22, we integrated with the acquisition of Libelium into a larger group, and with the merger and the boost that a great company like Libelium provides, we were able to serve a more global market, achieve scalability, and thus transition from a very academic life, very research-oriented, to a moment where you have to say that what you want to do, you want it to be used in the real world, learn, make a lot of mistakes, and explore various sources of how we can do things. I needed to detox from research. As a university researcher, everything is motivating. Industry is different. You are humbled. The client says, solve this problem. Not everything goes, you have to indeed address the problem, and that's where that trajectory comes in.
Very well. And you have always been very concentrated on everything related to smart cities through your companies. Now, with artificial intelligence, in your expert opinion, how do you see AI integrating into cities in the near future? And I go a bit further, even back, even in small cities and towns, the integration of artificial intelligence in cities and towns.
In fact, what artificial intelligence is doing right now for cities is helping them optimize and understand how to make investments correctly in various ways, being very pragmatic and providing 3 very, very clear and distinct examples in a variety of contexts. On the one hand, in the case of the region of Murcia, a regional platform called Smart Relo has been created. This platform enables any municipality, especially those with 5,000 to 20,000 inhabitants and larger ones, to use a common platform. As a result, any city can inherit and reuse services such as traffic optimization, irrigation services, tourism services, people counting to know the attendance at events, rural markets, concerts, and all tourism-related matters. Beyond that, on a more macro level, at the European level, data space programs and initiatives have been created by the Spanish Data Secretariat aimed at enabling any type of solution that requires greater depth, such as, and it is crucial to highlight that there is a huge investment in Spain to create these common services, both by the State Secretariat and Segitur with the Secretariat at the tourism level. And finally, at the European level, the European Digital Infrastructure Consortium has been established, which also aims to create those common services to facilitate the incorporation of all cities into the optimization and development of their digital twin in cities. In the end, all cities, depending on their scope or level, have an instrument or an enabler that provides the infrastructure and directly offers AI platforms and services, such as, depending on the level, you have one entity or another. The good thing is that they all use the same standards, which are called open technologies like FiWare. And much more important than that is that everyone concentrates on very specific cases to solve budgeting problems, such as budget optimization, obtaining aid, justifying aid, and then common challenges, such as better understanding how a city behaves, security issues, tourism issues, energy efficiency, water resource efficiency like irrigation, pollution, etc. For example, these challenges can be addressed by focusing on specific cases. In the end, there are a series of common needs that are being stitched together by this economy of scale through reuse, which is why today we are fortunate enough to start understanding real problems. And the biggest success story of Libelium in particular, to give a very specific example, for instance, is low emission zones. Low emission zones are a problem across Europe. It involves optimizing mobility, that is, the usual measures like reducing speed, limiting access for certain types of vehicles, such as trucks, etc., Those represent a series of common restrictions for many cities, but each city has its own particularities. So being able to share experiences is a common issue. It has been conditioned because of a public investment of 1,500 million in which the cities had to invest that money, but consequently, they had to achieve results in reducing the carbon footprint. That's where artificial intelligence and these products have become more relevant, especially when the city has said, please, I really need to use the air quality data, the mobility and traffic data, because if I don't, the $10–15 million they have given me to create a new bike lane area, parking, new infrastructures like trams, if I don't achieve those KPIs, I will lose that subsidy and it will turn into a loan with the economic impact that implies.
We go talk about AI and climate change.
Artificial intelligence is going to help us in various ways. For now, it is significantly helping us understand our current state and the real impact of our investments, and more effectively. I believe that the big change with the Green Deal, the macro program of the European Union with 1 trillion in investment, which Ursula proposed as her legacy, and from which the next generation funds that came out during COVID are derived, has a clear objective. It has very clear objectives to reduce emissions by 90% by 2050, with a very clear goal and some KPIs. And what they have defined is how to achieve those objectives from that investment, with that way of investing, with the investment fund and the different patterns. So artificial intelligence is indeed going to help us address climate change. At least it is the only one that will show us the way. Obviously, once we know the path, whether we follow it or not, depends on political decisions and the will of all humanity, but at least having a clear series of steps, having that visibility, that knowledge, is indeed key. I always say that one of the challenges we have in cities is that there is a great lack of knowledge about what is really happening in the city, what the pollution is, the impact, what the sources of the pollution are, and what the real impact would be if I suddenly reduce the speed of this highway behind us from 120 kph to 100. What is the real impact? How much is it contributing? So now with artificial intelligence, we can actually measure that and make the most relevant optimizations. And this is not always about restricting. In a very nice case that I really like, a relevant success story is the city of Cartagena. The city of Cartagena has invested $8 million in mobility reforms, achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. Do you know how many turbicide nets he has set up? None. What he has done is create the Roman forest. He has managed to create a Roman forest. He took some areas that were urban and renaturalized them. It has certainly managed to create a unique space for walking, a new lung for Cartagena. Considering the existing access security restrictions, Cartagena did not see it as very necessary, but new bike lanes have been significantly optimized, making the city more walkable and inhabiting these green spaces, like the Roman forest. And they have secured approximately 5 million from the Roman forest, another 8 million for mobility, only providing benefits for the town hall, only providing benefits for the people. Therefore, it should not always be seen as the green pact of restrictions. They want the opposite in any way, once I understand what the success case is, at all. There is another very nice case from the city of Cartagena that actually received the Lemon Award for Greatest Urban Innovation. They had a plot of land and had to decide whether to make it a green area, a shopping center, or to directly enable it for a football stadium or any recreational use. And it was done with artificial intelligence and received an award for urban innovation from newspaper Le Monde because it was the first case where a city council used AI, used data to decide how to act. The park was built, and it is an interesting case where it was clear they had to optimize employment, health, but also investment and the economy. And they saw at that moment that was what mattered. Well, those kinds of examples, investing very wisely, taking actions in a very thoughtful manner, and understanding that, for instance, enabling an urban area, converting it back to a natural state and creating a forest that becomes a new lung compensates greatly, much more than restricting access to the city. A city with a lot of people working at the port, large and bustling industries such as Repsol, Navantia, and various other companies, etc., it didn't make sense. However, the city is going to meet its goals, and today it is a benchmark and success story in Europe, and it is a city without restrictions.
What other opportunities do you see for companies, you as a business person, for entrepreneurs, when it comes to leveraging artificial intelligence or creating business models that stem from artificial intelligence?
I mean, the beauty of artificial intelligence as a business is that there is so much to do, so many opportunities. I mean, I think we don't realize that ChatGPT or generative AI is actually like a baby. The generative idea with the vision of what it has to do, which is to automate all human activities and jobs, really to create much more. Today, what it is doing is just the beginning. It can read, it is capable of generating texts with some biases, it can create images with some hallucinations, but this is just the start. I mean, the potential for generation, not just of content, but also for task execution and optimization is truly incredible and remarkable, immense. The thing is, we have to be able to embrace it. Just like today, the internet is an ally for many companies and not an enemy, it's an ally. We have to make sure that the same happens. But at the beginning, it seemed like buying or selling on the internet, or that the strong methods accessible via the internet were a challenge for the conventional market. What we have to achieve is to embrace it. So the big question is, who has the best vision of where artificial intelligence is headed and what it truly is? Not what we do today with solutions like ChatGPT or generative AI, but what we really think the future autonomous vehicle will be, topics of autonomous freedom, autonomous jobs, everything that is maximum autonomy and maximum automation in the field of transportation and employment, and how it will impact our daily routines and work environments in the coming years and decades. That's where the challenge lies. And obviously, the work needed is that all those various services ultimately require a comprehensive range of diverse products and solutions around them that make extensive use of it.
If you had to choose where to put your money, what kind of startup would you look for exactly, in particular?
For me, today, cybersecurity is absolutely key. I believe we are at a point where the biggest challenge we face, and where Europe, speaking as a European, has global trust, and where there are many significant geopolitical challenges in the world, is that today we need to invest in defense and cybersecurity in various ways. I mean, technology is advancing so incredibly quickly these days, with so many various and numerous different developments happening, in a way that we need to start being able to defend ourselves. So that defensive capability, which is crucial and essential, is what I firmly believe there is much more focus on creating than on protecting. So obviously there is a lot of interest in protection as well. But since there are so many people creating, I think the point of protection is first horizontal, meaning all solutions, whatever they may be, are suitable to be clients or recipients of a protection product, a cybersecurity product in this case. Therefore, for me, something that makes Europe relevant. In fact, we are in Malaga. You know that the headquarters of Google Cybersecurity are here in Malaga. A Malaga-based company called VirusTotal was acquired, which is a unique example of a company that was able to acquire a product like VirusTotal from Hispasec. In the end, it's something that any software could do by putting 20 or 30 antivirus programs in parallel and merging the results. Now with ChatGPT, I take the 20 logs from the 20 antivirus programs and create a combined report. Today, it might seem simple, but it's a brilliant idea. And that makes it so that there is undoubtedly a technological cybersecurity hub, the most important technological cybersecurity hub in Europe, without a doubt, is Israel. And it is clearly evident that Malaga, Spain, needs to be the one. And we must not forget, which is something that we must not forget, and this is something to acknowledge and appreciate about the Spanish government, that the Cybersecurity Institute in CIBE, which is the leader in Europe for capitalizing and promoting cybersecurity companies with a $1,000 million development fund, which is known as the Gloria Project. Therefore, talking about a significant boost, a unique opportunity, an ecosystem like having Google Cybersecurity here in Malaga. We are talking about a technological hub. We are talking about a public administration that not only influences with its innovative public purchases, but we are also talking about the entire European endorsement as a hub. Therefore, as an entrepreneur, I believe that where I can contribute, where I could contribute the most, is in cybersecurity.
You were talking about defense earlier. You're talking about cyber defense and also military defense. As you mentioned, I understand. In your opinion, what are the potential implications and future prospects of integrating the arms industry with advancements in artificial intelligence technology?
Well, the truth is that the arms industry, even today, as is well known, is in fact fundamentally and essentially based on artificial intelligence. The recent news we had about the dome, specifically the Iron Dome, recently in Israel, demonstrated its great effectiveness in minimizing various challenges and risks. Its efficiency in intercepting and neutralizing threats has proven crucial in protecting the population and infrastructure from attacks. This advanced system works efficiently to safeguard lives and prevent potential damage. In the end, that ability to follow a trajectory, locate, plan how to send a rocket that has to explode at a distance of less than X meters, that's all algorithms, artificial intelligence, computation, computer vision, and not one by one, but with 400 at the same time. 3. The most evident proof is that the latest news we have had in the world of attempted physical hacking has surely resulted in interactivity. And then if we think beyond that, all physical defense has to be based on the optimization of signal analysis, numerous computer vision, and other advanced technologies. It's not, for example, 10 borders. It's very difficult to put all that capability because you need cameras, radar analysis, and other related systems. All that automated processing is key because you don't have eyes, or the focus, or the attention to cover all those areas. Therefore, the defense aspect is clearly and evidently obvious because we have physical boundaries, but the cyber boundaries are even more problematic because there is no such boundary, and we have cases where there can be numerous vulnerabilities, indeed. And we are now returning to a very pragmatic and practical case, such as the one in Murcia. This is quite similar to the case in Torre Pacheco, also known as Torre Pacheco, which shares many of the same characteristics. The million-dollar question: what's behind the cybersecurity attack on Torre Pacheco? Well, if you had to ask me, talking to people from human intelligence, from the more human intelligence side, cybersecurity, it's clearly one of the uses of that detailed information is recruitment. Because you have one of the cities with the highest rate of Moroccan or Arab immigration, you clearly have the ability to access all the detailed information. You know what subsidies they receive, what assistance they get, how many children they have, their economic level, where they live, all the detailed information, which means if you want to recruit, you have to gather all the necessary and comprehensive information from a large number of vulnerable people to ensure that you have a significant amount of various types of data. Therefore, it is indeed a very practical and realistic example, meaning we are essentially talking about a cybernetic example that is not just theoretical, but a big block that adds value. In fact, property data is indeed available on the internet, meaning there is a significant amount of data available. Actually, I myself have personally found some leaks and shared them with the autonomous community to help defend the region of Murcia. Well, the data is there. And you ask me if you're being a bit paranoid, considering the current geopolitical context, the data, and the numerous potential uses that can be made of that data collection, particularly in this context.
Your company Libelium operates globally, across various regions. You have a comprehensive vision of the world and geopolitics from different, very broad and diverse perspectives. I understand that you base your insightful comments on that.
I base this on reliable information directly from the intelligence community, because that is evident.
Changing the topic a little bit more, how is your company managing and handling talent recruitment and acquisition, and how do you see it in general?
Well, regarding talent acquisition, we are honestly very fortunate in Murcia that we are one of the major players. We are based between Murcia and Zaragoza, and in both Murcia and Zaragoza, we are lucky to have highly reputable companies. These companies are recognized by students from engineering and polytechnic schools as a reference place to work. So we are extremely and incredibly fortunate to have a significant and substantial acquisition of new and highly talented individuals. I believe that our real challenge with talent is that we have a lot of virtue in acquiring and onboarding new talent because we are attractive companies. And it's always more appealing to go work for a company that is scaling up and doing highly relevant projects. It's far more interesting than going to work for a large international company where they might not have as much opportunity and potential to explore and experience different job positions and grow more. The challenge lies in retention and engagement. I believe that today we are indeed a manufacturing facility of so much highly skilled and exceptionally talented individuals in the region of Murcia or in Spain in general or in Aragon, that all the large corporations see great capability in obtaining that talent that is being cultivated, and that is the great exodus of intellectual capital. And undeniably, since telecommuting has been facilitated as a standard practice, especially in the technology sector, it is much more difficult to achieve employee retention in the midterm, because we are talking about contending without geographical boundaries with any company in any type of economic sector, which means being able to be employed for the US. Off the cuff, it's very challenging indeed, in fact, because you're not paying the rent, the cost of living, or the expenses, indeed the financial obligations that come with living in Silicon Valley. So there is a difference. The molds of cost of living versus income are broken, and that indeed creates a very significant difference as a business owner and as an entrepreneur in the roles of a business owner and an entrepreneur. For me, it's clear when someone advances in their professional career by moving to an international corporation with a high-ranking position, it shows that we have done a good job. We have managed to train a person. We have managed to enable a world for them. We have managed to do our job of scaling them and giving them capitalization. Obviously, we promote and strive to be that great company that also attracts and retains talent, and we are increasingly successful at it, which is a testament to our efforts. Nevertheless, we have the virtue of attracting and having access to highly motivated recent university graduates. In addition, we face substantial and considerable challenges in the long-term retention and scaling of our workforce, especially considering all the numerous threats we face in the current, highly interconnected and globalized world.
Antonio, to wrap things up, could you give a recommendation regarding education or anything related to the initial interest for those engineers who are about to graduate and become future employees?
I believe that today, education is a constantly evolving field in various ways and methodologies and approaches and techniques and strategies and perspectives. And to be honest, I think we are now returning to the basics where training in specific technologies no longer makes sense in many different aspects and dimensions and facets. I mean, it has to be done, but it's not like a recommendation to do this specifically, because nowadays, with libraries, development environments, and even with ChatGPT environments or similar, even Copilot can code Python courses for you. Therefore, specifying technologies is not something I recommend once you have a basic understanding of the basics. I mean, it's just not necessary. You don't need to specialize, but I do think there's a growing need for certain skills that are increasingly in demand, such as project management. There are interesting certifications like the PMP, Project Management Professional, or Prince2, or the PM, which is the Project Management Certification from the EU Commission, and it is free. So I indeed highly recommend those types of project management certifications. They are certifications that can even be obtained with assistance. There are already various training programs, such as those supported by different employment services, and information that promotes these types of certifications. And obviously, as I mentioned, other skills such as agility would include agility, because money and agility are increasingly key. We can no longer undertake such long projects. Instead, we need to start learning to fail fast, test fast. These are all technologies like Kanban, Scrum, Safe, all of which are highly recommended because they give you skills, management skills, quick thinking skills, and skills for finding requirements. And finally, others that I find vital or very important are cybersecurity. In the end, everyone should have a basic understanding of cybersecurity. As of today, there are currently security course promotions starting from $10 with recognition from the F Council or other certifications available. Therefore, for me, project management is the first because being a PMP, for example, even people on LinkedIn put the subtitle, "My name is Pepito Gris, PMP." They put it on par with having an MBA or a doctorate. It's a certification you can get by studying for a month, and yet the market values it highly. The other is if you are a computer scientist, engineer, or even a biologist wanting agile, it's a very complementary way of thinking. The PMP part is general. PMP is about managing in general. If you are a computer scientist, I would complement it with techniques applied to computer science like Agile, Scrum Safe, Kanban, and lastly, I insist, cybersecurity. There is a lot of variety, but being able to conduct a cybersecurity assessment and even understanding the various different tools that exist today for penetration testing, security testing, and best practices, I think is vital and essential. I firmly believe it is absolutely vital and crucial because in the end, as I always say, there is significantly more strength and resilience in making an effort to explore and understand those vulnerabilities, which is precisely why any product that is developed or manufactured, if it doesn't have even a minimum basic understanding of that security or cybersecurity, makes the product lose a considerable amount, a lot of value and worth.
Great. Well, Antonio Jara, thank you very much indeed, and all the best. Thanks to you.